All right, what's up, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of Reggie's Real Talk. I am Reg of BLETransit. So tonight we are going to be focusing on basically things that are happening in transit and questions and comments and concerns, pretty much what matters to you. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first line that I'm going to focus on is a line that I frequent or ride every single time I go to Brooklyn. So besides the Q24 or Q56 that I even use, I use the J and Z. Now, as you can see with this train timetable, I pretty much use the J train. Now, as you guys know, that the J and Z train goes skip stop. Now, it starts around 7 a.m. in the morning or 5 p.m. at night. The thing is, with the Z train, it really doesn't come out that much. Basically because it's only an express train. All right, so let me just put this down because the comments are flowing in tonight. So here we go. Now, our first question is from Makai Mosley, and he says, "How do I feel about the M31 going towards Tuskegee Airmen?" Now, the thing is with the Tuskegee Airmen, back then it used to be called 100th Street Depot. So it's kind of nice seeing next gens coming out of that depot. I mean, it used to have the M86 before it got transferred to whatever depot, whose name that I shall not mention because I have a deep disdain for them. I have issues right now, but I'm not even going to get into that. But the M31, as you guys know, runs crosstown along with the M57. The thing is, I never rode the M31. As you know, it goes towards Yorkville along with the M86, and it does all those stops towards 91st Street. Now, my thing is, the M31 going to the Ski Airmen pretty much works because I remember seeing the M96 coming from that exact same depot, and now it's part of Manhattanville. For some crazy reason, I just don't know. But I just got this question from the BLE Transit Network Facebook page, and I had to write it down because I really can't, honestly check at the last minute. So, all right, before we get that, here's another question. Should the A train be extended to the Bronx? Well, to answer your question, I say not really because the A train already has enough to deal with. It has 31 miles of track and it goes in an hour and 45 minutes, and it is the longest route in New York City Transit. Okay, so another question is asked, did I catch the electric bus or the Batera bus? Honestly, and I know it pains me to say this, but I don't like those buses at all. That's just my own personal opinion. I really don't take an interest in buses like that. But the thing is, when the XD60s first came to Baisley, I would say, yeah, they pretty much resonated with me in a big way. But with the BE40 and the XN40, to be completely honest with you, I'm really not fond of those buses. I mean, the XE40, that's fine and everything. I mean, it's a bus that doesn't use gasoline or, any type of fuel at all. It uses electric power. But just give me some time, I'm really not used to seeing it like in Manhattan or anything. Say the XE40 is better than the BE40. Yeah, the XE40 pretty much it's an Excelsior for those of you who don't know because of the letter X, and the E stands for electric. So I would say I would probably give it more time because of my hectic schedule. Because besides Ralph, and I have another occupation that I'm interested in. So as far as the BE40 goes, that bus is honestly garbage. I don't like the looks of it. I don't like the design of it. And for some apparent reason, it sounds like a remote car on steroids. But then again, that's just my opinion. If you guys want to ride it, yeah, you know where to find it. I mean, the M42 has the XE40, but the B32 has that piece of garbage. Anyway, moving on. So the 4 Run Express in Pelham Run runs in two sections. Well, honestly, the 4 has its own express track between Bedford Park Boulevard and 149th Street Grand Concourse. Now, you know that the 4 train skips 138th Street during the weekday rush, So your only way of reaching that station is to take the 5 train. Now, when it got split in two, like last weekend when it was using 62As going towards New Lines Avenue, its only northern terminal was 125th Street. Unfortunately, I had a schedule that day and I wasn't able to catch anything. But I did catch an R62 on the 4 train coming from Utica Avenue. And that was back then when the 4 was split in two sections. So one half was using 62As and the other half was using the R142As that they got from Westchester Yard. So Westchester pretty much supplied the 4 train with all the 62As. But every single old school rail fan know that the yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, the 4 train's original equipment was the R62s. All right, what's next? Yeah, the M86 Select Bus Service and the M31, yeah, they swapped. So, Transit Fan Kids, has anyone caught the 46C train? Now, to speak about the 46C train, this isn't nothing new because this happened 5 years ago when the A and C train swapped equipment. So the 32s went to the A, the 46s went to the C. But during that time in 2012, it actually hurt them in the process because the 32s kept getting sent to Lefferts for some crazy ass reason. But it was last weekend, and I remember this clearly. I was at Beach 90th because there was no service towards Mount Avenue, and I remember catching both the 32 and the 46. So I waited on the platform, and yeah, you already see it on my YouTube channel. I recorded the entire ride from, I think it was Broad Channel towards around 80th or 88th Street. But the reason why I had to stop because the picture was getting blurry and all that stuff. All right. So what's the next question? 5447. Yeah, sorry for my hand in the camera. 5447 is at MJQ. All right. I have nothing against Nova LFSs, but the paint scheme on them, it really doesn't look right. And for 5447, I simply don't have an interest in it at all. I mean, I'd rather just stick with the Nova LFSs that I see at Jamaica or the LFSAs that you see at Mother Clara Hill. I have nothing against the Novas at all. I mean, they built the RTSs and they're still here. But it's something about that paint scheme on the Nova LFSA that rubs me the wrong way. I just don't get it. I mean, it looks good on the XD60s, but with the Nova LFSs, it ain't gonna work. Sorry. All right, what's going on? Let's see about the next question. I'm trying to answer all the questions we see here. All right, so the next question from Octavian Fernandez says, do you remember the M18? Yes, I do. I remember the M18 very clear. Now, it used to go towards some terminal in Washington Heights. I'm not sure what street it was. And then it terminated at Central Park North 110th Street, which is just a stop short of Fifth Avenue, where all the M1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, and that's where they go southbound on the east side of Central Park, hence Fifth Avenue. But the thing is, I did hear a rumor somewhere that the M18 might be coming back. I'm not completely sure about it, but if it does happen, you already know which depot is going to take care of it. And hopefully it's Mother Clara Hill, because they only have like 3 routes or 4 because of the M35. But they could actually use a 4th or 5th route. I mean, I have history of Mother Clara Hill. Before it was, constructed into the luxurious 3-story depot that we have now. And that's how I remember the M18. Okay, so the 62s be split between the 3 and the 4. Now, I'm going to give you a little history lesson about the 3 and the 4 train. Now, back then, the 3 train had R62As. And these were actually, separate cars before, being combined into what we have now. So the 62As that ran on the 1 and the 3 train, that's what I remember. And growing up in Brownsville in 2000, I remember catching a rail fan window view on the 3 train. And back then, the 3 train was significantly different. It had blue stickers under the numbers, and it was actually 9 cars instead of 10 because they can actually run those type of cars. But then when the Redbirds were retired in 2003, they needed some equipment to run on that line. So the 4 ended up getting R142s and 142As, and then the 3 train is now using the 4 train's equipment. So as you can see on the top, which is near the doorway, its own strip map that the 3 train uses. But honestly, I would just love to see 62s on the 4 train. And if I were the line superintendent, or if I were like the dispatcher who runs all the IRT A division lines, I would definitely recommend that the 3 and the 4 train should share the same equipment. So that way all the rail fans can be satisfied and you guys can thank me in the process. Alright, now let's move on to the next question here. Should the M3 run limited? Yeah, the M3 is a very long route along with the M2 because the M2 does run limited. The M3 goes all the way towards Fort George. It's basically parallel to the M101, which goes to the same terminal. So honestly, I would say the M3 should run limited, but it should only run during the weekday rush, kind of like the M4. Because, the M3 has a very, very long way to go. I mean, I don't know how Manhattanville did it with the M5. I mean, you know how long that route was. All the way from Washington Heights down to South Ferry, and now they split it up. So the M5 goes towards Midtown, and then the M55 takes you the rest of the way. Which kind of reminds me of 2 Brooklyn buses that got combined into a long route. You guys know it on Flatlands and Kings Highway, courtesy of the good folks at East New York Depot. Alright, let's go to the next question. Jamaica and MJQ swap equipment. Did you catch did you catch Michael J. Quill's new 40-foot LFSAs? Honestly, it's pretty much the inverse of what Jamaica Depot took in. I did catch some of the RTSs with quill stickers on them, but I really don't, as I said at the top of this broadcast, I really don't like Quill Depot that much. I mean, it's great that they have Nova LFSAs and Nova LFSs now, but it just doesn't really catch my attention like that. That's just my own personal opinion. I mean, don't mind me. I mean, everybody else has been catching the Nova LFSs that come out of that depot, but I just don't see the point of it. I mean, it's great that we have RTSs with the Quill logo. I mean, some of them are blackback. They are still blackback. I mean, I caught 5127 on my way to Jamaica Terminal, and it was just sitting right there. Even though it's a little banged up and everything, but I mean, with the history of Jamaica Depot, they spit shine everything. I mean, even the next gens. So let's go on to the next one. 5290, according to, is now at Mother Clara House. Whoa, I had no idea. That's one of the two Manhattan depots that I like, which is Tuskegee Airmen and Mother Clara Hell. Because the thing is, with Mother Clara Hell, I have a lot of history with that depot. Because back then, it was a very, very, very small depot. And then it was torn down, and then Amsterdam took over. And then it was last year, or probably like 2 years ago, and there it was. This huge complex just right in front of me. And I was waiting for the day to see it open. And I'm gonna try. I just love that new logo, even though it's not Bronx Division anymore, since all the B32, the BX32 and BX33 are now at West Farms. But I have nothing against Clara Hill. I mean, even though it's in a residential neighborhood and it's close to the 3 train, which is at 148th, but it's a very good depot. So more Nova LFSs to them, but I would actually love to see some other type of equipment come out of that depot, because it's pretty much it. Alright, so Gamer Studio says it's like the M14 is being selected in 2019. Ah, yes. Now, you all know that the L train's Canarsie tube will be shut down for the next 18 months because of what Superstorm Sandy did to the East River Tunnel. So work needs to be done. So the L train will only be a Brooklyn train between Bedford Avenue and Rockaway Parkway. So the M14 will be select bus service. There's going to be a bike lane, which is a block south on 13th Street. And there's going to be shuttle buses that'll take you across the Williamsburg Bridge towards the buses that serve around where the L train is. So the M14 is going to be select bus service. depending on what type of equipment it uses. I mean, we still have D60 HFs and some of the Nova LMSAs. Yeah, they can do that job. They can actually do that job. But work needs to be done on 14th Street. I mean, they should actually make it bus only because I've seen the M14 in action, both the A and D. And traffic on 14th Street is absolutely horrendous. I mean, you got cabs, you got cars double parking. I mean, it's just crappy. I mean, it's just this bunch of bullshit on 14th Street. I just can't stand it. But sooner or later, you guys will see the M14 be in select bus service and it'll be in action and you'll see the results of when the Canarsie 2 gets really constructed. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Cummins I9 or ISL9. Well, I have to go with your first choice because I don't know, but for the 1700s that come from Nassau and the County Express, it sounds like the bus has a cold or something. I mean, some of the ISLs with the engines that Cummins make, I mean, some of them sound good, even with the C40 LF CNGs, but with the Orion 7s that come from Nassau County, ugh, I can't stand them. But I'm not even going to steer into that subject because I'll get upset and start, going crazy and everything. All right, moving on. All right, AGD Darrell Fanner says, should Baisley Park run select bus service in their depot? Well, there is talks that the 113 is going to be select bus service. There is rumors spreading about that route because back then in 2014, when the 114 came in and replaced the 113 local along 147th and Brewer, it pretty much did what the 113 did late at night. So yeah, it did work when it first came into service, but lack of limited service after 12 midnight, it really hurt them in the process. So they decided to downsize the 114 limited schedule a little bit. So whenever the 113 stops running, which is around 9:13 or 9:33, then the 114 makes all local stops to Far Rockaway and pretty much did what the 113 local did. But if it does come select bus service, I think the 113 should really get that. But the question is, what would happen with the 114? I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that. But I'm sure Baisley will come to some conclusion of what's going to happen with that route. I mean, the 113, as you guys know, and I've lived by this depot for the last 14 years, even back then when they were Jamaica buses, and that was in 2003. RTSs, MCI Classics, all that other good stuff. And let's not forget that paint scheme. All right, moving on to the next question. The Q54 should be select. The Q64, that's the route that we got from Baisley. But I don't really think it should be select bus because it's a very, very short route. I know it uses an XD60 during the rush hour, but honestly, it's much too short a route to be select bus service. I mean, it already has enough to deal with the passengers coming from either Electchester, 164th Street, or Forest Hills. But in my own opinion, I say there should be not one, but two XD60s. So that way there won't be, long lines of the crowds that are coming from the 3 or 4 subway lines that serve Forest Hills 71. So I think the Q64 should just remain local because, I mean, it's been given a 24-hour schedule, and that pretty much helps. Because, service along Jewel Avenue, that's one of the busiest corridors that we have in Queens. So in my own personal opinion, I'd say the Q64 should just remain local and just use XD60s during the rush hours to alleviate the crowds. Did I catch 5290 at MCH? I didn't, but that is in one of my plans. When I go back towards Harlem, I'll definitely catch it. All right, our next question comes from Shadow Productions 85, and he's asking, what's my view of College Point Depot? Wow, I have a lot of history with College Point. Now, back then, for those of you who don't know, or probably have known, is that back in the day, it was Orion 5 CNGs, and we also had MCI Classics. So back then, it was a white bus with an all-around orange stripe, and back then it was called Queen Surface Corporation. Now I remember riding. Oh wait, before I forget, it also had its own RTSs as well. Now, as you guys know, with the museum bus, 275 was the last remaining bus that they have. And when I saw it right there at the bus rodeo from last year, I gotta be completely honest with you guys, I broke down because all those memories of riding that bus on the 25, the 34, and the 65, they came rushing back. I mean, the last time I rode that bus was indeed 2004, before it got taken over by the MTA in February of 2005. But my goodness, those buses were the best. Now, even back then, when it was converted towards College Point and the MTA took over with the all around blue stripe and everything, I still remember that. I remember catching the last Orion 5, which was 9849, and it was a Q65 Gothels Avenue trip. And then afterwards, it was never seen again. And I did a tribute of that video 3.5 years ago. And it's still being talked about to this very day. So if you guys didn't see it, you can go onto my channel and pretty much see it. I mean, it's a lot of history that I have with that depot, and they will never be forgotten. And there's a lot of Orion 5 CNGs that I caught besides College Point. I wish I caught it at Tri-Royal Coast, but that's a whole other story. Alright, let's move on. Should the BX19, BX32, and BX33 be sent to MCH? The thing is, the BX32 and 33 were part of MCH because back then, Mother Clara Hell was a Bronze Division bus depot before it got torn down and built towards the luxury depot that we have. But as far as the 19 goes, the 19 actually came from the old school Amsterdam depot, along with the BX15. So the 19 is pretty much doing well at West Farms, but I'm surprised it hasn't received the Schleppy Award because that route is ridiculously slow. I mean, either it comes close together or too far apart, but I mean, old people are passing that bus with walkers and canes. I'm being completely honest here. That route is a snail. It's really, really slow. All right, moving on. I just had a moment right there. Okay, what if the E train was extended to Brooklyn? Back then, when the E train used to run towards the Rockaways, it ran through Brooklyn. It made the same exact stops as the A train going all the way towards 116th. But then throughout the 90s, it pretty much got cut back to what we have here at World Trade Center. So the E train did used to go towards Brooklyn, even though I was probably too young at the time to even remember that. But I did live at I did live at Fulton and Rockaway, the Rockaway Avenue style where the A and C train are. But my goodness, I think the last time I remember riding the E train into Brooklyn, and I can't believe I actually remember this, it was 18 years ago. That's right, 18 years ago. My goodness. All those memories. I mean, back then when it was using 46s and 32s. Now that was the real E train. But then again, you know, these motherfuckers they just keep complaining about what equipment that the E train uses. I mean, there was this one time that I actually caught a 46E, but it wasn't in service though. It was just parked right there at Union Turnpike. It was 3 years ago, and I remember it clearly because I took pictures and videos so you guys can see it on my channel. All right, the next. Oh, this one is a comment. You should come to Canada and capture the transit systems and compare it to the MTA. That isn't one of my plans. I would love to come towards Toronto. I mean, Toronto, I've seen pictures and videos of those buses, and they actually look really amazing in my own personal opinion. So there is talks about getting some of those Orion 7s to come down here towards Manhattan during the L train's construction of the Canarsie Tunnel. But I would just love to see what transit is like in Vancouver, British Columbia, St. Lawrence, Montreal. I mean, this is one of my plans in the 18. I definitely want to see what Canada has in store for me, especially Toronto. So you guys won't be left out because BLETransit will be going international very soon. All right, next one is, yeah, that's right. Nice bus is garbage. until they fix their maintenance and open not Rochdale, open Rockville Center, then I'll give them a chance. But right now, yeah, you guys already know that that system is crappy. And thank goodness they took that bastard's name off of the name of the buses. I mean, he's just rotting in jail, along with Cuomo and de Blasio. All right. So for the next one, the RTSs are the bomb. Yes, that's right. The RTSs are still here. And before I forget, they've been serving New York City for more than 30 years. I mean, back then when the GMC, TMC RTSs ran, and you guys know the engine sound, it was a Detroit Diesel 6V92 engine. Before they started, with Nova Bus and they decided to use Detroit Diesel 50 series engines. You guys hear it every single time you're in Brooklyn or in the Bronx or Manhattan. I still remember those. I mean, the RTSs pretty much dominated all of New York City. I mean, the Bronx had them, Manhattan had them, Staten Island has them. I mean, you can actually see them still here at Jamaica Depot, even though they got them from Manhattan, but it still works. All right, the next one, Q1. All right, let's see what else. Just making sure I am. Anyway. Let's see what else is here. Okay, James Johnson. Honestly, I'm not even going to answer your question because you're full of shit. So I'm going to tell you this right now. You could just get off my live stream because, yeah. Why don't you suck on that? You ain't going to be embarrassed. That's right. I'm calling you out right now. Because honestly, you're a fucking racist, just like the president. So why don't you get off my live stream before I get really upset? How about that? Idiots. Yeah, that's right. James Johnson is an asshole. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This is my first live stream. And if you ever think of coming towards New York, you better watch your step. Because I'm from Brooklyn and we don't play that crap. So I suggest you get off my live stream right now before I get really upset. Because I don't play that crap. Because if it were up to me, you'd be laying in a hospital bed right now. Again, the Lords and me have a temper. And they've been drinking all day. So come on with it. Just sorry ass, ignorant jackasses anyway. Anyway. Alright, besides all that, moving on. Grand says Gaming Studios got Grand got more RTSs. Yeah, it's true they got RTSs. I mean, they have a combination of the 1998 and 1999. Some of the 4900s and 5000s are still there, and we also have some of the 5100s. No, not 5100s. I mean, that's I mean, the 5100s, you already know the depot where that comes from. But I would actually love to see Grand Avenue with RTSs, even though it's hard to catch because some of them don't run that much. I mean, I'm always used to seeing Next Gens and XD40s, but with Grand Avenue Depot, it's huge. But despite its location in Queens, it can run any type of bus that is coming out of that depot. Okay, next one it says the E train should go to Church Avenue. I would actually love to see that because there was this one time where the E train ran towards towards the Culver line, and I think one of the YouTubers caught it. I forgot what his name was, but I mean the E train actually went outside in that long amount of the time because it ran express on the Culver line going back towards Jamaica Center. Now that was GO for the ages, and major props to the YouTuber who caught that. Even though I was busy that day, because my schedule prevents me from catching all these rare things. But when it does happen, it's golden. All right, what's going on? Should that dang Chambers Street station be fixed? All right, Octavian, To answer your question, I think the Chambers Street station on the okay, all right, the National Street line pretty much is the J and Z because the M sometimes goes towards Chambers Street if something goes wrong on Queens Boulevard. But the thing is, they really can't touch that station because it's directly under the municipal building, and because of the columns that it has, it could be, caved in and just like that. I mean, even though the station is really, really ugly, I mean, the 160s don't look nice in that station, but with the 32s and 42s, yeah, it fits it well. But even if they remove one pillar, just one pillar, you're asking for it. That whole station could just come caving down because it's built right underneath one of the tallest buildings or skyscrapers in Lower Manhattan. So they really need to come up with a real devised plan because if they even touch one thing in that station, that's it. Then the J train will just kind of have to, terminate at Canal and then just run all the way back to Jamaica Center. All right, TT CEO should run for a Andy Byford, and he's good. I never really read of the transit of TTC. But you know what? I'm gonna actually do some research after this broadcast because if anybody can run the MTA and run it well, then I can actually look for it. I could look into some research about that. All these train timetables here, and yeah. All right, let's keep it moving. We got some more questions flooding in on this broadcast tonight. They need to fix the elevator structure. It depends on what elevator structure you're talking about, though. Okay, Gaming Studios. All right. So you got a test tomorrow. All right. Thank you for joining the live broadcast, and we'll see you next week. All right. So for all of you who are still watching, 6V71. Oh yeah, I remember that. I mean, it sounded good in some of the buses, but yeah, with the Orion files that they have, with that's looked like a zip code for some reason. But then they decided to narrow it down to four numbers because the MTA can't really like put five numbers in its database. It's way too much. I mean, the 6V91, the 6V71. I should probably do a sound clip on that. That is if I'm lucky to find one. Anyway, moving on. Look at the sidewalls. It says here in Atlanta they have a lot of Orions and New Flyers. Yo, I should definitely go to Atlanta and see those buses. I mean, so many videos and pictures I've seen of MARTA. That's definitely one of my plans later on this year. Okay, so Manhattanville fan says, do you think Manhattanville has good maintenance or does it need work? Well, I have no problems with Manhattanville. The only thing is, it's just lack of variety that's coming out of that depot. I mean, the only thing that you see coming out are Ogens and Next Gens. I remember back then when they had RTSs. I mean, Manhattanville pretty much was the depot when they had the RTSs. But now it's just hybrids. I mean, the variety is just bland. I would just love to see something else coming out of that depot. I mean, I would just love to see either XD40 or probably a Nova LFS because I have nothing against Manhattanville, but the only route that I really truly mess with is the M11 because it takes me towards Riverbank State Park. But overall, Manhattanville has really good maintenance. All right. So Transit Fan Kid says, how do you feel about the A and C train swap? To be completely honest with you, because the C train's days are numbered with the 32s, it's actually working for them. Because you're seeing more A trains going towards Far Rockaway instead of Lefferts all the time. And I love it. Especially going over Jamaica Bay. Have you ever been around Staten Island depots? Well, there's three of the four depots that I actually seen in person. I've seen Yukon so many times. I've seen Castleton, and I actually rode past Charleston on the S74. But I haven't really seen Meredith Bus Depot. I mean, that depot only runs express buses because it's only Monday through Friday. Nothing but Prevost coming out of that depot. So with Staten Island, that's the number one borough that you can see all the express buses. I mean, MCIs, they still have their D4500 CT, D4500 CL, and Prevost. Okay, the next question is, did you catch the D train at 168? No, I haven't. It's probably one of those rare GOs that happened like 3 weeks ago, but yeah, the only train that I actually seen going to 168 was just the ANC. But if the D went towards 168, they actually have a program for that, but they never really ran it. At least, not by accident. All right, Manhattanville fan says, "Should the 9 train return?" Oh, wow. Okay, you know what? I'm going to actually give you a round of applause for that because, I mean, everybody's been asking about the 9 train. It's been since 2005. It's been 13 years, more than 12. It's been 12 and a half years, nearly 13 years since you actually seen the 9 train. But I do remember coming from Van Cortlandt Park, and one of the road signs did actually say 9. I mean, they should really bring the 9 train back. It ran skip stop with the 1 train, and it was frequent. I mean, it went all the way to South Ferry, around the loop, and my gosh, those memories will not be forgotten. I remember that. The 9 train, in my personal opinion, should return to service. I miss it, and everybody else misses it. Okay, the next question is, should the V train return? Okay, you guys have been watching the V train review. Okay, that was actually one of my first uploads on BLETransit Network. And the last V train that ran wasn't 160, but the only V train that I caught was an R40 mod. And it was a throwback video that I recorded back in 2009. I was using a different camera at the time. And it ran from Queens Plaza, and I ended the video at 65th Street. But I still remember I caught a picture of the road sign, and it was indeed a V train. Yeah, when the V train came into service 2001, it was using nothing but 46s. But then when 2005 came in and the ANC train was crippled by that Chambers Street station room fire, it used 32s, it used 38s, and it used 46s. I remember that. Those days will not be forgotten. All right. Yeah, rest in peace to the 9 train. Sadly, never took the V. Yeah, I know you guys missed the V train. Oh, just give me 1 second. My battery is dying. It's gracious. So for those of you who didn't ride the V train, yeah, you guys missed out on a lot. I mean, even though when it helped the R train on Queens Boulevard and the F train on 6th Avenue, that was the best. And those rides will never be forgotten. I mean, the W came back in service, but the V train pretty much perished because of that doomsday budget cut. Oh, and speaking of which, it's a funny thing that you actually did bring up the V train because I have a special treat, you guys. Because in this bag contains all the train timetables that I've kept 10 years ago. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. I still caught it. And I still kept this train timetable close. Very close. And it's the only one that I still have. And it's original showroom condition. I present to you from winter 2008, 2009, the original copy, hard copy, of the F and the V train. So you guys can see it right there. So the F train had its schedule, and then the V train had its own schedule. As you can see with the original router right there. I still kept this train timetable to this very day. And a bunch of other train timetables here. Like this, for example. I will take you back in time so you guys will know. I mean, even the shuttle had its own train timetable from point A to point B, and I still have it right here. This tiny little schedule that operates only during the day. And at the top of the broadcast, I already showed you the J and Z train. What else do I have here? Ah, yes. Now, you know this broadcast wouldn't be complete without talking about this line. This line has been through a lot. And I remember back then when you used to go to Forest Hills with the R train. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking about the old crosstown line. Now, it was using 46s on the G and also using 32s. Okay, so yeah, GG. So Manhattanville fan says, so I heard Cuomo was thinking of creating a new line to Brooklyn and serving Red Hook, and apparently the train is going to split off at Redford Street. What lines should go there? Oh, jeez. Oh, that was the question that was just asked a few nights ago, and it was by Savannah Den, and he left the question on my BLETransit Facebook page. Um, to be completely honest with you, I've only been to Red Hook either 1 to 3 times, and the only subway station that's close to Red Hook is Smith Knight Street. So the only buses that go there that you know are the B61 and the B57. So I think the one train should actually go towards Red Hook. I mean, the only time that the one train actually went to Brooklyn is after 9/11, replacing the 3 train, and Cortlandt Street was destroyed. So they just shortened the 3 train towards 42th Street, and the 1 train went to Brooklyn in that single time frame, replacing the 3 train towards New Lots and using 62s or 62As. It's only a rare occasion to see 62s. But honestly, if the line were extended to Red Hook, I would say extend the 1 train there, because it's pretty much the R train has its own tunnel, which is the Montague Street tunnel. So the 4 and 5 are right nearby, but they already have their own tunnel. So yeah, my answer to that is make the 1 train go there. I mean, I wasn't too keen on the plan at the moment, but then when I actually did some research and read it like 4 or 5 times, yeah, the 1 train should go there. I mean, going towards South Ferry, yeah, that's fine and everything, but it should just be one of the stops. The question is, what station is it going to be in Red Hook? Should it be Coffee Street? Should it be like Lorraine Street, Otsego, Dwight, Van Brunt? Or, in my own personal opinion, make it go towards the IKEA terminal. Now that would be great. So the C train go to Queens again. You know what? The C train should go to Queens, because the A train already has enough to deal with the Rockaways. I mean, having 3 terminals is a lot for one transit line. I mean, the 5 train, well, can pretty much go anywhere at once because it is the overlord of the IRT. I mean, it could go to Pelham, it could go to Woodlawn, it could go to Wakefield, or even go to Utica or New Lots or even Flatbush. It could take over the Pelham line anytime it wants to. I mean, that's what it was. Yes, the C train should go to Lefferts. And I actually caught one of the road signs that legitimately said 168th Street, and then the bottom terminal said Lefferts Boulevard, and the road sign was a C train. Now, if the C train could go to Lefferts, that'd be great. So that way, it could free up the A train from doing all this extra shit that it does right now. Make the A train go towards Far Rockaway each and every day. Every single A train should say Far Rockaway. Skip Lefferts at all. It's only 3 stations that you're serving. And by late at night, you got a shuttle that's running from Euclid Avenue. So when the C train stops running late at night, the shuttle comes out. And the A trains go to Far Rockaway in the middle of the night, as we all know it. Alright, next question is, should the M98 run all day, or is it good as it is? The M98 is limited going up Lexington or whatever street that it uses. But I think the M98 should have a weekend schedule. I mean, it shouldn't just run weekdays. It should run each and every day, because there's some people who want to go to the cloisters and don't want to use the M4. So now you have an alternate route that runs towards Washington Heights. So the M98 should stay as it is, but I say give it a weekend schedule and make it run with 15-minute headways during the day, and then when it winds down, I say around 20 to 30 minutes until the last run. And then all the buses go back towards Washington Heights, which is Grappini Boulevard. So that's basically it. What else? Oh, I want to get into details for a minute. All right, so I'm just gonna pause on the questions right here because I'm gonna take you on a history lesson of what occurred in Long Island. Now, this bus right here always got me to Roosevelt Field. Now it has been extended to Hicksville because the nice bus took over. But this right here, this route that you see, and this is from the fall of 2009, and I still kept it. It's still in showroom condition, as you can see with this original bus map right here. And I can't believe the front of it they used 1700. Ugh. But anyway, this was the real N24. And as you can see, it's using an uppercase N, besides the lowercase n that we see right now. I mean, back then, we had the Orion 5 CNG. It had its own Orion 5 CNG with its original paint scheme. Now there were actually three types. There was the Orion 5 green, there was the Orion 5 orange that was super bassy, and the recently departed I can't believe I'm saying this. The Orion 5 shorts. I remember that. Yes, that's right. The M18 went towards Convent Avenue. There is rumors that if it does come back, every single bus fan and transit fan will be all over it like white on rice. The thing is, there's a bunch of bus routes that don't exist anymore that probably got renumbered or given a second edition. And yet I still remember them every time I ride the bus. Every time. Let's see what else do I have here. Okay. Never forget the BX55. Yes, now the BX55 is no longer because the BX15 took over. But I remember the BX55. It was limited on 3rd Avenue between Fordham Plaza and the Hub, while the BX15 did all the work. So now the BX15 local, which is run by Kingsbridge, does all the local work only towards 149th Street, while the BX15 Limited goes towards Midtown Manhattan. I mean, not Midtown, but West Harlem. But I remember the BX55. I'll never forget it. Okay, the next one, the M3 is a snail. Yeah, the M3 is really slow because of what it does, because it has a long way to go. Now, as I already have mentioned, that the M3 has the same route as the M101, going all the way from East Village 8th Street towards 193rd Street. And my goodness, that route is long. I mean, if you can count up all the streets that it uses, I mean, all the blocks that it runs up, from Madison Avenue, from the beginning all the way to the end, I'm surprised I didn't even fall asleep, because that route is seriously long. All those local stops towards Fort George. I mean, even the M101, it is a long enough route, but it goes limited. But yeah, because of the traffic on 5th Avenue and Madison Avenue, yeah, the M3 can be a pain in the ass. But anyway, okay. Alright, so I just got a comment from Manhattanville fan, and he says, I was just doing research last week and found out that Manhattanville is supposed to be a CNG depot, but it got scrapped. Now in 2018, in the future, they should return to that plan. Wow, I never really knew that Manhattanville was supposed to be CNG. Funny story. The thing is, with Manhattanville, back then it used to be called 132nd Street Depot, and it used a different logo at the time. But now you see it has MV. But you know what? Manhattan doesn't really have CNG buses. Like College Point has both diesel and CNG. Spring Creek has it. West Farms has it. Except for Gleason, which is completely 100% CNG. But back in the day, it used to use diesel. That is around 1995 when the Orion 5s came in. But Manhattanville becoming a CNG depot, that's a plan that really should be enacted. I mean, if it could have the same fuel like West Farms, Spring Creek, or College Point, that'd be a big improvement. Besides a variety of buses, it should actually have two types of fuel. So, to honestly answer your question, yeah, it should be both CNG and diesel. Alright, what's the next one? Oh, I have this train timetable right here. Oh yeah. Should the one train have R142s? The thing is, the one train did run R142s. It was part of a special GO that actually was a rerouted two train for some crazy reason. But yeah, the two train lent some of the equipment towards the one train, and it ran towards Van Cortlandt Park. I've seen videos of it, but I never really actually seen it with my own two eyes in front of me. But the one train did actually use an R142. But it would be boss to actually see an R142A. My gosh. The possibilities. Yeah, the test was crazy. I mean, it was one of the YouTubers, or one of three YouTubers. It was, I think, November 2010, but when they was running R142s on the one. And it was at Rector Street. To be completely honest with you, I kicked myself in the head for missing that. That was the best. I know, besides using 62s and 62As, seeing a one train with a tech train like that, that was amazing. Yeah. All right. So this line right here pretty much resonated with me. Said the one train have a diamond. That would be a cool logo to rock, but the one train is actually doing fine as a logo. But seeing a diamond one, if you could create a logo, I would definitely like to see it. And you could post it to the BLETransit Network Facebook page. You guys know the page. All right. Let's go to another train timetable. But which one is it though? Yeah, I remember this one. But I'm not even detailed about that. Honestly, all of 7th Avenue represents R142s. They say, should the 2 train be extended to Yonkers? Well, I do give the 2 train some credit, due to the fact that it goes to the top of the Bronx. But the 2 train already has enough to handle. I mean, late at night, it's a dead-on local. I mean, it's like the C train, but it's completely boring. It runs every 20 minutes. And the 2 train does go through really bad areas. It goes through Flatbush and, of course, the Bronx. I mean, it's 2 blocks away from the Westchester County border, which is Wakefield. That's the top of the Bronx right there. But, you know, the 2 train already has enough to deal with because it's expressed in Manhattan, it's local in the Bronx and Brooklyn, but yeah, the 2 train should pretty much stay where it is. If anything, the 1 train should be extended towards 262nd. So that way, the buses don't have to travel that far. I mean, it's only a 20-block difference from the Westchester Bronx border until you get to the 1 train. But that's it. The 2 trains should basically just stay where it is. Oh, and here it is. I have the train timetable right here. This line is legendary from using Redbirds. Now, everybody can agree with me until they're blue in the face. The real 2 train was the Redbirds. Now, as you guys know that some of these times it used different types of equipment. Now, it used 62s and 62As. In my own personal opinion, this ride should use 62s and 62As. I mean, if it could get some 62s from the 7 train, then yeah, most definitely. All right, 2 train introductions, just enjoyed it. So I have your train timetable right here. Home of the Redbirds, yeah. Yeah, when the Redbirds died, the 2 train died. I mean, yeah, I know the Redbirds were falling apart, but damn, service didn't have to fall apart with it. The only thing is, the 2 train is ridiculously crowded. I mean, I have more of a chance of catching a late night ride on the 2 train, which I did last weekend when it was ridiculously cold. I mean, it's the IRT and everything, but I mean, I didn't think it would be this bad. Damn. Honestly, if they could combine all the work trains together and make it a 2 train that could run, that'd be great. All right, next one is next question is, should the 3 train have R188 or 142? I would say the 142 because the 188s belong to the 7. The real R188s, not them fake old things that they took from the 6 train and converted them into this piece of garbage that I keep seeing on the Flushing line. But that's just my own personal opinion. Having the B train going All right, having the B train go to the Bronx to see on the Upper Manhattan was a good swap, or should it go back to the olden days? Yes, I remember the B used to go towards 168th and the Diamond C. That's right, the Diamond C. And hold on, I gotta do this right. Since we're talking about this little swap here, let me just do this right so you guys can get the gist of it. So, we're here. This is Central Park West. So, we're coming towards 135th Street. And I'm in 1998. This is before March 1st. This is February 1998. And when the B train was using R40 slants and R40 mods. Here's the B. And then the C train comes along. These guys are on each other's asses on CPW. Now this line used to go towards 168th Street along with the A. This line goes towards the Bronx using 32s. So the next stop after 145th, while the D train did express work, the C train went to the Bronx. That's right, the C train served Yankee Stadium before March of 98. But then there was this crazy ass plan, and I remember the ads of seeing it when the B train went to the Bronx. Now, still using the same equipment that it used to use with the 40 slants and 40 mods and 42s, and the C train got rerouted to 168th Street, which is pretty much what we have right now. But seeing the C train going back to the Bronx will be one GL that I remember. But as you guys know, that the Diamond C back in 95 was the longest route, from Bedford Park Boulevard all the way down to Beachwater to 16th. All 4 boroughs, just like that, all local stops. But then it got cut back until pretty much what we have right now. Okay, so 2 train productions say, oh, you never seen an R179. Well, you got to go to the J train for that. Because there is a second set that just passed testing. So there's more than one set that's out there. I mean, we have the test set that just passed 30 days of passenger service. So now you can see it regularly. And now we have 3069 to 3093. And that's in service on the J train, which just passed service, the test and everything. So now there's more than one set that's on the J train. And if you're lucky, during the rush hour, you might see it on the Z. Seriously. Go and skip stop. But the only thing is, it can only go skip stop east of Broadway Junction. Yeah, there is a 57% chance that you might catch it, because one of these days, and I do mean one of these days, I might run into that new R179. No, not the one that just passed the 30-day test. I'm talking about the one that just entered service. Alright, so the next question is, what if the D went to Euclid Avenue or Lefferts Boulevard? Well, the D train already has, it went through so many switches back in the day. Because it used to go towards Brighton. When the Orange Q was here, the D train used to go Brighton. And now it goes towards West End. So it's been using the same equipment for the last 25 years. I remember when the D train used to go to Decal, and that was 24 hours a day when it was going towards Brighton. And then the B used to skip Decal and go towards Atlantic Pacific. Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, the D train has enough to deal with. I mean, it was using the same equipment over and over. But back then, it used to use 32s, 42s, and 40 mods. And that was actually a rare chance of you actually catching anything else besides the 68. And they also use the 68As. And that's on a rare occasion when the Yankees have a home game. So they pretty much classify it as like, it's not a B train, it's not a D train, it's a baseball special. So to answer your question, Alexander R., the R179s are slated for the A, C, and J trains. And for some crazy reason, it might show up on the M when the viaduct is completed in April. I was wondering why this quill has all the crosstown routes except for the 20, 55, and 22. Oh, the 22, 55, and the M20, they all come from Quill. I don't understand. I mean, Quill does nothing but crosstown. Yep, you hit the nail right there on the head, because Quill does nothing but crosstown routes. except for the BX19, but that actually came from West Farms. But to be completely honest with you, the M60 should go back to Mother Clara Hell. I don't know why it came from Quill. I don't get it. I just don't understand. But then again, it's just me. All right, so we're in an hour in this broadcast. So yeah, the M55 started a year ago because the M5 already had enough to deal with from South Ferry to Washington Heights, so they decided to split it into two routes. So the M55 was a year ago, and now it does what the M5 goes towards South Ferry. Okay, so having the R179s on the sea would make them 450 feet. It depends on what type of R179s that are coming towards the C train, whether it be 4-car units or 5-car units. Because the C train pretty much uses R46s, which is the length of 10 cars, and then the 32s and 160s are 8 cars each. So with the 179s, it depends on what type of R179s that are coming towards the C train. Okay, so 2 Train Productions is like, yeah, they're gonna fix the C train, hopefully, because 32's days are numbered. I don't know why I'm saying that. B64. Yes, the B64. It's one of the routes that we have at Omer Park. The B64 used to go towards Bay Ridge, Betsy Head, Owls Park, whatever that terminal was, along with the B9. But now it goes toward. No, actually, I think it still does go there. It used to go towards Bay Ridge. Yeah, it used to go towards Bay Ridge, but now the B1 replaced that, going towards 86th Street. All right. The next question is, what do you think the G will get during the L train shutdown? The G train should actually use 160s, 32s, and 46s. So the thing is, yeah, I did hear that the 32s might be coming back towards Crosstown. That was the G train that we used to know. So I might use 68s. So they'll add another 4 cars. They'll use 32s. Because the G train is pretty much one of the main lines that the L trains transfer to before terminating at Bedford, which will occur in 2019. Yeah, Omo Park does have fast drivers. It depends on which route it's on, because I've seen the B36. The B36 is fast, especially when you're going towards either Seagate, Coney Island, or Sheepshead Bay. But the thing is, with the B6, they really need to fix that, because that's one of the star routes of Omo Park, besides the express routes. What if the G train went to Manhattan? To answer your question, the G never went to Manhattan. The G never enters Manhattan. It's only a crosstown route between Brooklyn and Queens. It's the only subway line that never enters Manhattan. So as you can see here with this train timetable, this is the G train. It only enters Court Square and terminates at Church Avenue. Now, back in the day, it used to terminate at Smith Knight. It's the only subway line that doesn't enter Manhattan, and pretty much gives a lot of crap from the MTA. And for some apparent reason, I don't know why. They just cut back subway cars and didn't give us any much service. But when it takes over Culver, yeah, G train was the line. 160s and 46s and 68s. So Manhattanville says the M55 barely shows up. I remember waiting for a 55 about 40 minutes and there was barely anyone inside, and wonder why the MTA couldn't bring back the M6. I remember the M6. It used to go towards South Ferry and terminate at the south side of Central Park. The thing is, yeah, I don't know why. The M55, I never rode that route, but it pretty much has to deal with the crap that the M5 used to do going towards South Ferry. Jackie Gleason Depot has slow drivers. Oh, wow. Well, I'm gonna have to honestly agree with you on I'm on the fence with Jackie Gleason, because those drivers don't play. Because some of the drivers, they whole ass like nobody's business. I mean, even with the B37, which goes on 3rd Avenue, and thank goodness they brought that route back, because it was the only one on the west side of Brooklyn besides the 63, which was on 5th Avenue. So some of the Gleason routes are fast. It depends on which route you're on. The 35, I know for a fact is slow. But in my own personal opinion, the fastest Gleason route that I ever rode was indeed the B69. The B it's a cross between the B67 and the B69. I mean, that driver, he went fast. I mean, super fast through the Brooklyn Navy Yard, which was the fastest I ever seen a Gleason bus travel. Those backfires were crazy. Yeah, we missed the M6 and we missed the Orion 7 CNG. Oh, as a matter of fact, you shouldn't say goodbye to the Orion 7 CNGs yet because they're still here. Even though there's less than 9 units at Gleason, I managed to catch one. And it was bus number 7674. And I'll upload the video probably around next week if I have the time. But Gleason still has 9 of those buses left. Even though it was a West Farms unit. But to answer your question, Gleason still has some of the Orion 7s still left in the depot. So I advise you to get them. Catch them while you can before they're all gone. Because after this, it'll be nothing but a memory. Alright, next question is, why does LaGuardia put more bus routes like the Q69 or the Q101 when they have more buses and extra ones like RTSs? LaGuardia pretty much, yeah, that's one of the deals to look out for. I mean, they just got RTSs back. For some reason, they still have RTSs. They just got them back. So if you're looking to catch one, I suggest you ride them. Pretty much on the straightforward routes. Not like the Q67 with all those rights and lefts. I mean, that funny little crazy ass route. But LaGuardia does run their RTSs and they run them really well. Okay, so you think Manhattanville drivers halt or should they take the M60 back? The M60 never really came from Manhattanville. It pretty much came from the old 126th Street Depot, which is now closed. And only serves for like storing buses like Amsterdam. But the M60, in my opinion, should go to Mother Clara Hill because it has Arctics and can definitely use them. The M3 is slow as on 5th Avenue. They need to fix ozone part. D60 HFs are really good. Yeah, I love the D60 HFs. Especially when I ride them throughout Manhattan and the Bronx. Especially with that acoustic sound with the air conditioning. I remember that. You can still catch them at the Tuskegee Airmen. You can also catch them at Gun Hill. Okay, Gun Hill is crap names. But West Farms has them, Kingsbridge has them, and Tuskegee Airmen has them. So you can catch any one of those, and you'll be constantly surprised with the results. Okay, they gave him up a year back and never put him back on the 69. And down to 7, they said. Oh yeah. It's every once in a while that an RTS shows up. So if you have MTA bus time, you can actually catch the RTSs that run from LaGuardia Depot. But it's only like every once in a while that it shows up because they're always using XD40s, Ogens, and NextGens. I used to ride the bus every morning to have a vid. Rode it super well. Yeah, I'll probably catch that. So, okay, here's a question. It's like, which depot has the best maintenance in Manhattan? There's 2 of the depots that I like that has really good maintenance. There's Mother Clara Hill and Tuskegee Airmen. Y'all know Quill Babies all their buses and everything, but that's just, yeah. So, Manhattanville, Tuskegee Airmen, and Mother Clara Hill. Those are the 3 that I like. The only reason why I'm saying Manhattanville is because, their maintenance. Not because of the equipment that it uses, because they take really good care of their buses. You don't really see any buses breaking down that much because they know what time it is. Should the Z be extended to Brooklyn where the Brown M used to run? Everybody's been saying this. But the thing is, you can't run 32s or 42s in the Monica Street tube because of clearance issues. Because the ends go straight up. But if they run 143s or 160s, then yeah. But the thing is, you'll never see 32s or 42s on the Z because the Monica Street tunnel has cables which line the tunnels. So if it even touches that part of the tunnel, it's going to scrape the side of the train. And we don't want that. We want the 32s to last. for a long time. It's been 50 years since they've been in service. So the Q47 late around 10, which is kind of late run. Yeah, the 47, that was a long route. It is a long route now because it replaces the southern half of what used to be the old Q45 towards Glendale Atlas Park Mall. The 47 does have a lot to handle because right in the middle, you have Jackson Heights. So you have to know your difference between your Glendale 47s and your LaGuardia 47s. I wish the Z train would run more. The thing is, the Z train actually slows up even when you don't ask for it. I mean, some of them don't even change the road signs. I mean, even when you see a J train coming towards you, and when you look at the road sign, it says Z. For some crazy reason, it always happens to me more than once. I don't know why. They never change the road signs, but with those axle, when they change the road signs, I forgot what instrument it uses. But yeah, they pretty much left it as it is. Okay, so the next question is, which depot has the best maintenance in Brooklyn? Oh, okay, Two Train Productions, you are really putting me on the spot with Brooklyn. That's my home. Who should I say has the best maintenance? It's a toss-up. There's Omer Park, there's Gleason, there's Grand Avenue, there's East New York, there's Flatbush. I really can't decide. I mean, I like all my Brooklyn bus depots, but I lived near East New York for the first 14 years in Brooklyn of my life, but I can't really decide. The only reason why I didn't mention Fresh Pond is because they still have a lot of work to do, because most of the buses that Fresh Pond gets is usually fucked up in the first place. But anyway, Fresh Pond still has enough to handle. Okay, so yeah, there is a rumor that the B train will run R32s. I mean, I haven't seen a 32 on the B train since 2009, and that was nearly a decade ago. We're in 2018. I remember riding a B train, and at that last moment when it was supposed to be an N train, it got switched to a B at that last minute. I remember it clearly, going all the way towards Bedford Park Boulevard, and then it was taken out of service. I just wish, for some crazy, I just wish I had a camera in 2009 when I was actually riding that 32 on Brighton. But if it's a rumor, if it's actually going to happen, then, well, we're just going to have to wait and see. How does Quill baby all their buses? Well, basically, and I can't believe I'm actually answering a question about the depot that I really don't like that much. Because their maintenance is superior. I mean, look at the RTSs. I mean, they function well, they're maintained well. The next gens, the old gens, the RTSs, the Nova LFSs, whatever bus that comes out of the depot, yeah, they pretty much maintain. I mean, how can any bus depot in New York reach that kind of maintenance? But then again, and I'm looking at it right now. Okay, you know what? I'm actually gonna refrain for that. I'm gonna save that for my next broadcast. I'm not even gonna tell you what I'm looking at right there on the right side, but you guys will be pleasantly surprised. But that's coming up in next week's installment. Yeah, I remember the BX41 going towards Wakefield, and the last time I remember that, it went towards Wakefield, and I actually got a free ride because basically it was during the 2003 blackout. It was during the 2003 blackout. And I remember I wanted to go to the Bronx. I rode the M15. It was limited back then. Then caught the BX15 as an Orion 5 with an Amsterdam logo. And it was crowded and I was going towards the Bronx. And then I caught the BX41. And back then it was Kingsbridge. And it used to go all the way to Wakefield 241st. But then it got shortened back and the BX39 took over. But yeah, I remember that. And it was the blackout of 2003. Should the B run R32s again? To answer your question, I say, what are we waiting for? Bring them out. Send them 32s back to Coney Island. I mean, my back hurts. I mean, we see them at East New York, see them at Pickett Avenue Yard, but seeing them at Coney Island, yeah, they're BMT trains. and they should run on Brighton again. That would be the sight for the ages. I mean, I would love it. You rail fans would love it. All the transit fans would benefit from it as well. I mean, seeing equipment on the B besides 68s and 68As, I would actually love to see a 46. But then again, that's just me. Yeah, everybody loves the RTSs. Oh, so it says that my line is going to 9th Avenue. Okay, what time is it though? It's 9:50. Yeah, that's a GO that I caught. The R train actually did go towards 9th Avenue, or probably went even further than that down West End. I actually caught that. 160s and 46s. Yep, I caught that when the R went to 9th Avenue, but that was part of a weekend GL. So every once in a while, if the R goes towards 9th Avenue, it's probably either shuttle buses or probably it comes from the 36th Street yard. That says, should Quill be an all select bus service depot? Absolutely not. It's bad enough that they have the 23, they have the 79, they have the 34s, they have the M79, and now they have the M86? Seriously? Send that route back to the Tuskegee Airmen. I mean, you already have 5 select bus service route. Why do you need a 6th one? They're doing too much. Quill is doing way too much. I mean, all those buses being rotated out of all those 6 select bus service routes. No. You already got local routes. Half the routes are select bus service going crosstown, but it should not be 100% select bus service. No way. All right, the next one is, should Staten Island Railway connect to NYC one day? All right, now we're getting into the real deal. So let's get this timetable out. Here I have here is the Staten Island Railway. Now, as you guys know, the Staten Island Railway uses R44s, which have the propulsion sound of an R46. And the same R44s that used to run on the A train have been serving Staten Island. So it has expanded. Okay, let me just read this right here. Read this clearly. Expanded morning express service and evening service, and select trains serve additional stations during the rush hour. So as you guys know, that the Atlantic and Nassau stations are no more, and they've been torn down and been replaced by the new Arthur Kill station. So that way, the 4-car R44s can serve the stations wholeheartedly, just like that. But if it were extended towards Brooklyn, that would be great. I mean, they would have to actually build an underground tunnel and make it connect with the R train at 86th Street. So that way you don't have to use the S53, which is the only route that goes towards Brooklyn from Staten Island, besides the 79. Fake ass select bus service. No fare collection boxes, no Arctics, whatever. Ever rode Gun Hill Depot? Yes, I rode Gun Hill Depot, but here's a funny story. I was riding bus number 5742, and it was the one with the polka dots that with the BX12 first introduced select bus service. And I was right there at the back end, and I was recording the bus ride. And then when I looked towards my right, and the back half was missing. I was like, there was no back support. It's like, I'm serious. If somebody sits on that seat and it collapses, they're going to sue. They should have back support. But to tell you the truth, I don't know what Gun Hill Depot is doing with those XD60s, but their maintenance is absolutely fucking terrible. Unless you have a Nova LFS or some other variation of equipment, but Gun Hill's maintenance is absolutely terrible. I don't know why. Alright, before I even get to your question, let me get to this one. I feel like the ones to be extended to Staten Island and St. George. Yeah, that is an excellent proposal, but I mean, it's a long way. It is a long way from the southern tip of Manhattan all the way towards St. George. Okay, should the Metro North be extended to Queens and Brooklyn? Honestly, no, because the Metro North goes as far north as Connecticut. You have Poughkeepsie, you have... What was that stop? I think it's one of those stops. You have Poughkeepsie, you have the Hudson line. Yeah, the Hudson line, that's a scenic line. I love that. You have the Harlem line, and you have New Canaan, you have Danbury, you have Stanford. So the Metro North pretty much should stay where it is at Grand Central because it already is enough going upstate, especially as far as Croton down to Harmon. Why do some of the DCCHFs like screech? Oh, that's because the belt is loose. So sometimes if it screech, it's like the belt that it runs on, or some of the like the acoustics of the transmission. The belt is loose, so that is exactly why. If the belt is loose, that's what makes that screeching sound. And pretty much, it's honestly like it's screaming. It's like, "Help me, get me out of here! Put me out of my misery, please!" But honestly, that's the sound it makes when the belt is loose. So the depots do everything they can with those DCCHFs. I mean, I just look at those buses, and every time I hear that screech, I was like, damn. Except for the DCCHFs that we lost because, they've been involved in some horrific fires. And then I just realized it's like, some of these buses is like, they're not what they're sounding like they used to. They're constantly changing. But every time I hear that screech, I mean, the last time I heard a screeching DCCHF was 1007 before the Q10 got XD60s. They were at JFK Depot. And then all of a sudden, when it took off, all I could hear was, I mean, damn. That shit on Lefferts Boulevard had me dying. I know I can't do the streets because, my throat is killing me right now. But that bus is just begging for mercy. It's like, oh, help me. I'm dying out here. God, please put me out of my misery, please. Just goes to show you those buses are on their last days. I mean, we still have 55, 56s, and 5700s. But if I hear screeching, I'm going to record it. That's right. It's pretty much to say, I'm watching over every bus in Staten Island and all the rest of the 5 boroughs. But that's just me. So in terms of which depot, which is better, Manhattanville or Quill? Judging by your logo, it's Manhattanville. Hands down. I love Manhattanville. Even though it has a lack of variety because it only has its next gens and old gens, but I would pick Manhattanville over Quill any day. And that's just basically it. Alright. So I'm actually gonna, I'm gonna end this broadcast right now because I promised myself it's gonna be 90 minutes. So let's see. What are the questions that you guys have? How do you unite the XD40 7090 to okay. The 7000 series with the XD40s, there's a particular brand that I like. And you guys see it at East New York Depot, bus numbers 7110 to 7139. And those are the ones that I like because it has angel seating. The seats are a lot thinner. They're a lot more, there's a much more leg room because, for guys like me who are 5'11", we need more leg room whenever we sit in the back. So those buses are amazing. As far as the rest of the buses, it depends on which depot maintains them the best, whether it be Brooklyn or Queens. The thing is, I would actually love to see Jamaica Depot actually get XD60s, but maybe that's not our original plan because, with Jamaica Depot, it's going to be Novas or something. Yeah, Manhattanville is a very good depot, but it could use some change in equipment because, like I said, it only uses old gens and next gens. So if you could throw an RTS in the mix, then that'd be great. Alright, so I'm going to actually end this broadcast right now with one of my favorite subway lines. And you guys know it. You guys love it. It is the Red Rocket. You guys know what this is. Now, this line I used to live by on Rockaway Avenue. And I remember seeing 62As on this line. 9-car R62s. That was the best. But now it's using 62s. Now, whenever it left Chambers Street, I guarantee you, you better not stand up during that express ride, because chances are, whenever the TO hits the brakes, you're gonna be falling flat on your ass. I mean, golly. I mean, I was just standing right there, and then all of a sudden, it was like, "Yo, we're on the lead! I tried to hold on for dear life." All right, thank you, Two Chain Productions. Yeah, that speedometer is 1,000,000 miles an hour. Should the 3 train go to the Bronx? It only actually goes to the Bronx to 239th Street because it needs a wash. Oh, it says, speaking of a backfire, I heard a next shot of Manhattanville. When it took off, it sounded like a CNG type. I never really heard of a next gen backfiring because diesel buses don't backfire. It's only the CNG buses. But then again, it's like it's actually not a backfire. It's CPV. So it's actually the fluttering that actually causes the backfire. So you'll hear it at Gleason, West Farm, Spring Creek, and College Point. And here in Jamaica City, you'll hear from Nice Bus. Dope bus fans hate the next gens. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been picking up. I have nothing against the next gens, but I mean, the face of it looks ugly. I mean, Orion, I'm glad they went out of business because they pretty much screwed up after the old gens. I mean, we still have old gens at Baisley Park. I'm surprised that we never took a next gen. Thank goodness they actually had their minds set on not taking any next gens. The only ones I see them are on JFK and LaGuardia routes. I mean, Brooklyn has them, the Bronx has them, Staten Island has them from Yukon, but that's pretty much it. I don't know why they hate the next gens that much. It's pretty much what it looks like. All right. So the next one is, why are the B and D the only lettered lines in the Bronx? So to answer your question, every single line in the Bronx, besides the B and D, are numbered lines. So you have the 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. So you have Broadway 7th Avenue, you have the Jerome line, you have White Plains Road, which is the 2 and 5, you have the Pelham line. The Concourse line is the only lettered line that goes into the Bronx. As you can see here, for example, with the D train, this is the only line on the weekends, or pretty much during the middays and evenings. This is the only line to enter the Bronx. Every single other line is IRT, the number lines. And that is pretty much it. So, all right, I'm going to answer this last comment right now because it's getting late and I want to end this broadcast on a positive note. So, Alexander R says, I'm only 5 minutes away from LaGuardia, so you can see where the bus is going. Well, I have to agree with you because you live near the LaGuardia Depot, I live near the Baisley Park Depot. So I see the 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, and the QM21, QM4, QM44, and Q64. So I see exactly what's going on at Baisley Park because I can see it right there, right outside my window. And that's basically how it goes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's broadcast of Reggie's Rail Talk, or Reggie's Transit Talk. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first live stream. And for those of you who didn't get a chance to answer your questions, you'll have a chance in my next installment next week. So stay tuned towards youtube.com/BLEENT, BLE Transit Network, and I'll have more videos and uploads so you guys can pretty much see what I've been working on. I mean, I've been catching the F train, which is the Cuomo size. I've been catching that, and I actually wrote it home tonight, but I'll upload the video for you guys next week. So until then, I'm Reg of BLE Transit saying don't let anyone steal your joy, and as always, keep it simple and keep it real. So if you guys miss any of this, or you just want to see one of my past videos, you can just log on to the YouTube channel and you can pretty much see what I've been catching up on, as well as other transit systems as well. So this is BLE Transit Network signing out. Good night, be well, and safe travels. See you guys next time.